Taking a look at high-low method with discount and variable cost, we have this simple situation where we have 3/4 units discount. We have units and we have the cost. Discount of 10% is applicable once quantity exceeds 25. Yes, we have 5 steps to follow when solving a question one would try to segregate cost using the high-low method. But before we start with the steps, when it comes to discounting variable cost, the first thing is first to mark where the variable where the discount in the variable cost becomes applicable. I look at Q1, I have 20 units that has not exceed 25, meaning that we will have the low variable cost in here. So we're going to have the variable cost without the discount in here. 27 here, we have it with discount. So if I can write this with discount, also here we have it to be with discount as well. So practically it is here that we have it without the discount. So the first thing we have to do once we have situations like this is to identify coordinates with the same basis. What do I mean by coordinates with the same basis? Either you have situations where both coordinates includes the discounts, or you have situations where both situations exclude the discount. If we have to do this now, our 2 points which we will be using for our high-low method will be 27 Q2 and Q3, where we have 30 units. Why? Because they both actually include the discount. Then that will permit us to use our high-low method. So now we can start with our steps. Step 1, even though we call it the highest and lowest activity level, but we would be using points or coordinates with the same base, meaning having the same amount of variable cost in them, and that's Q2, Q3 this time around. So my highest this time around for my unit, so if I move my units this time around, my highest and lowest point are point 30, which happens to be Q3, and point 27, which happens to be Q2. So step 2 is to identify the corresponding cost for each of them, and that's my Y variable. The corresponding cost for this is 12,000, and the corresponding cost for this is 11,800. Step 3 is for me to get my variable cost per unit, first by looking for difference here. So this will be 30 less 27, and this will be 12,113 less 11,800. So my variable cost per unit, that's my VC per unit, there becomes 313 divided by 3, and I have it as 104.33 per unit. The next step is for me to look for my fixed cost. That's step 4. Step 4, my fixed. Sorry, did I say fixed cost? I mean fixed cost, not fixed cost per unit, fixed cost. So my fixed cost happens to be either I use the high method or I use the low method. High method or the low method, both happens to be the same thing. So if I'm using the high method, if I'm using the I coordinate, I coordinate, that with this minus the variable cost per unit multiplied by the quantity, which will give us 8,000. If I'm using the low coordinate, exactly the same thing. This minus variable cost per unit by the quantity as well. So we have the same amount as 8,009. That's 8,983. So step 5 is for me to build up my cost model, right? My cost model simply equals is 1 equals to 893 plus my B, which is 104.33x. So this is my cost model. Let us just zoom over now and ask to actually do a forecast, say for a period or a quarter where the quantity happens to be 22. If quantity happens to be 22 this time around, this will be lower. That means this will be without the discount. So all I have to do is to compute my variable cost without discount. Since my VC with discount happens to be 104.33, that means my variable cost in that instance is actually 90%. Having enjoyed the 10% discount, so for me to know the gross price which I would pay without the discount, that would simply be 104.33 divided by 90%, and that happens to be this amount. So if I am computing the cost for quantity at 22, then my model will simply be equals to, that would be my fixed cost plus my variable cost. Noting that the variable cost will be the 115.9 excluding the discount, since I have not attained the limit where the discount becomes applicable. So this multiplied by the quantity of 22, and that happens to be 11,533. I hope this is very useful. Thank you very much. Please like, share, and turn on your notification for more videos.